Welcome everybody to look at the second film in the Agatha Christie collection, a 4K box set from StudioCanal, and it is 1978's Death on the Nile. So yeah, this is directed by John Gillerman, who also did The Towering Inferno, which is still my favourite film from him. He also did the really rather excellent PJ, as well as the Bridget Remagen, House of Cards, and The Whole Truth. So once again, a mystery film clocking in at 140 minutes long, so 12 minutes longer than The Murder on the Orient Express. And yeah, Peter Ustinov replaces Albert Finney in the role of Poirot. And then supporting him, you have the likes of Jane Birkin, Lois Chiles, Betty Davis, Mia Farrow, John Finch, Olivia Hussey, George Kennedy, who was obviously in several other star-studded films from the 70s, given he was a main staple of the disaster genre. He was in all four of the airport films, and he was also in Earthquake. Also stars Angela Lansbury, who would be Miss Marple in the next film in this box set, The Mirror Cracked. Also stars Simon McCorkindale, David Niven, Maggie Smith, Jack Warden, and Sam Wanamaker. I'm pretty sure Maggie Smith turns up in Evil Under the Sun as well. So, yeah, an all-star studded cast there, and quite frankly, it rivals, if not exceeds, the cast from the previous film. So, Detective Hercule Poirot's luxurious vacation on the Nile is disrupted when a rich heiress is murdered on the cruise. Amidst all chaos, Poirot tries to identify the killer before the journey ends. So for a long time, I have quite frankly ranked this marginally lower than Murder on the Orient Express. And although that aforementioned film hasn't dropped in my estimations, this has gone up as I really enjoyed this upon rewatching it via this 4K release. The cast is also excellent, in particular when it comes to the chemistry between Ustinov and Niven as they team up to do this murder investigation. Uh, and yeah, their chemistry is really rather infectious, as well as the arguing between Davis and Smith being really rather quite funny. And Lansbury plays a really rather hilarious drunk as well, who calls Poirot on several occasions porridge. He calls him Mr. Porridge for some reason, but she's really rather quite plastered. But yeah, the score is also great. It's done by the composer who did the first two Godfather films. Unfortunately, he died only the year after this, so he obviously didn't get to do the third one. But yeah, it's a fantastic score. Um, it's currently slipping my mind. Oh yeah, Nino Rota. Uh, really, really fantastic. He's more well known for his European stuff, but yeah, he has done some Western films like this one. It is also well shot. The production is convincing. The plot is overall engaging throughout. The cinematography is on point. The locales look absolutely superb. There is some unexpected but effective violence, and it is also well edited, as there are certain scenes that are shown from different perspectives or different scenarios of whether or not that person might have seen what they'd seen, as well as also flipping back to recount certain other scenes as well before the current narrative part of the plot. Now, sure, it is perhaps a little overlong and the pacing could be a bit tighter, but overall, this was a real joy to revisit. And to be honest, I've enjoyed watching this more this time around than I did watching Murder on the Orient Express, which is still a really, really great film, but I feel like this, yeah, it's just that bit more entertaining. Peter Ustinov is a better Poirot, quite frankly. Albert Finney was really rather good, but I think Ustinov gets across his kind of character a little bit better. And yeah, it's just generally a bit more of an engaging effort overall. Plus, I think the murder mystery element to this, as well as the plot in general, is a bit more effective on top of all of that. So yeah, this gets a 4.5 out of 5. So yeah, a really really good effort. And yeah, unlike with Murder on Orient Express, this has had 4K restoration work done to it that is actually detailed before the film starts. So it was scanned in 4K 16-bit by Silver Salt Restoration from the original 35mm negative. Color grading and restoration was completed by Silver Salt Restoration, who dedicated over 200 hours to manually clean and carefully remove sparkle, chemical damage, dirt, and scratches. Yeah, brought to you by StudioCanal and supervised by Johan Hyatt and Mariana Lezema. So, yeah, looks absolutely great and looks way, way better than Murder on the Express, to be honest. That could just be because the production is a lot more grander in scale. The budget was several times what Murder on the Orient Express was, while being mostly set on a train, mostly in the snow. Murder on the Express does look a little bit drab anyway, whereas with Death on the Nile, you're in a much more exotic location, you've got a much sunnier climate, and yeah, the whole boat thing that looks a little, the whole, the cruise that they're on also looks a little bit more lavish and a little bit more open than it does on the train, which is naturally quite narrow, quite dark, and such and such. So yeah, looks absolutely great on the new 4K release, and yeah, you also got a new addition to the extras on this one with Sparkling Homicide, a video essay by David Carnes, and these other extras I imagine were extras on previous releases. So you got audio commentary with Howard S. Berger, Steve Mitchell, and Nathaniel Thompson. You got a making of. We've also got an interview with Angela Lansbury, obviously before she died last year. Um, Interview with costume designer Anthony Powell, interview with producer Richard Goodwin, interview with Peter Ustinov, interview with Jane Birkin, behind the scenes stills gallery, costume designs gallery, and original trailer. So yeah, there's not very many of the cast members that are alive left in out of this film, unfortunately. So yeah, any more extras that they could have gotten out of this, yeah, not really possible given vast majority of the cast are no longer with us, with only Louis Childs and Mia Farrow being the only two that are alive anymore. So, yeah, which is a great deal of a shame. It would have been interesting to hear more stories from this film, especially when you got such a large, well-known cast. There's bound to perhaps be conflict, but it seems like from what I've read about the film, in terms of when it wasn't being shot, that the whole on-set vibe was really rather nice, to be honest, with Betty Davis recounting certain stories and such. Although she did say that back in the olden days they would make the Nile for you, whereas nowadays you have to go on like a tourist guide and the actors are like stuntmen or whatever. So yeah, I mean that's kind of true. Back in the 1920s or 30s, you might well have just built the Nile on a set and then gone from there. But I feel one reason why this works so well, especially in comparison to Murder on the Express, which does feel quite set heavy, even though it might well not have been, is that this does feel like it is set in Egypt. You do feel like you are there amongst the temples and well the pyramids and all of these great architectural and archaeologically significant sites. So yeah, it does feel a lot more part of the environment that it's set in than Murder on the Orient Express did, quite frankly. So that's another reason why I've now come around to actually enjoying this and liking this more than that film. But still, two great films out of this box set so far. Obviously, I have seen them before, so really looking forward to seeing The Mirror Cracked for the first time to see what Angela Lansbury can do in the role of Miss Marple. But nonetheless, thank you for watching. If you have seen this film before, I'd like to hear your thoughts on it, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.